This is Mr. Koba from ITeens Lab. This is the 14th video in our series explaining how to use Unity. In this episode, we're going to create a program where you shoot balls to defeat enemies. With what we cover this time, I think you'll finally be able to make something that feels like a simple game. We'll be continuing from the file we used last time, so if you haven't watched episode 13 yet, please start with that video first. Alright, let's get started. Okay, up until last time, we had created a program where, if you press the play button and then press the space key, you can shoot a ball like this. This time, I'd like to make a program where, when you shoot the ball and it hits an enemy, the enemy disappears. So, let's go ahead and bring in an enemy. We'll create an enemy from the hierarchy window. Right-click here. Alright. From 3D Object, select Cylinder. This is called a cylinder. Let's go ahead and add a cylinder. This cylinder, as the name suggests, means a column or a cylindrical shape. Place it somewhere where it looks like the ball might hit it. Also, since the screen might get a bit hard to see, try adjusting the camera position so that it's easier to see where the ball is flying. Just a moment. From above with the camera. I think if you rotate it a bit and tilt it slightly downward, it'll be easier to see. Okay. Now, about this camera, if you click on it, you can see on this screen how things look from the camera's perspective. You can also check in the scene how the camera is capturing the screen. Once you've got it in an easy-to-see position, let's play it back and take a look. Okay, here it is. When you launch the ball, it fires toward the cylinder. But since we haven't set up any scripts or anything yet, even if you fire it, nothing happens to the cylinder. Alright, now let's take the cylinder. Since it's going to play the role of the enemy, let's go ahead and change its name to something more enemy-like. This is the enemy. Now, for this enemy, we're going to create a script that makes it disappear when it gets hit by a bullet. So, right-click here and create a new C# script. Let's name this script enemy. Once it's created, attach the script to the enemy object. Alright, it's attached now. Next, let's write the contents of the script. Double-click to open it. So, sometimes, as you can see, double-clicking on the Visual Studio file doesn't open it. In that case, you can go to the Solutions section on the left side and double-click on Enemy there to open it. Alright, here we are. Since this is a brand new script we just created, nothing has been written yet. Now, here outside of the void update method, outside of its brackets, we're going to add on collision enter. And when it collides, we'll use destroy. Game object like this. With this, we've created a program where the object disappears when it collides. Alright, let's try running it. Okay. However, surprisingly, even when they collide, it doesn't disappear. So, the reason why it doesn't disappear even though they're colliding is because, actually, Unity's collision detection has a lot of detailed settings. Deciding how to set up collision detection is actually pretty tricky. And, well, to be honest, I'm still learning a lot about collision detection myself, so we'll have a chance to look at it in more detail later. For now, just to put it simply, if an object doesn't have a rigid body attached, the collision detection doesn't really work properly. If you can just keep that in mind, I think that'll be good. So, with that said, when you're shooting the bullets, sometimes they don't work as expected. So, let's add a rigid body component to the bullet using add component. So, just like this, add a rigid body to the bullet. Then, when you play it again. Just like this, you can make the cylinder disappear. However, when you add a rigid body, gravity affects it, so the bullet ends up falling. If you're okay with that, you could leave it as is, but I want the bullet to shoot straight ahead. So, I'm going to uncheck the Use Gravity option on the rigid body we just added to the bullet. Now, what is Use Gravity? So this setting means that gravity will be applied. If you uncheck this box, it means gravity won't be calculated. So, if you leave this unchecked, when you fire the bullet, it will fly straight ahead. So, there are two main points here. First, if you want to detect collisions, make sure to attach a rigid body to at least one of the objects. Second, if you want to disable gravity, uncheck the Use Gravity option. I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but collision detection in Unity can be pretty tricky, so I'll go over the finer details little by little in future videos. For now, if you ever feel like your collision detection isn't working properly, just try adding a rigid body. And if you think you don't need gravity, just uncheck Use Gravity. Start by setting things up this way and try making a simple program. Now then, since we've come this far, I'd like to try something. Let's add a bunch of enemies and shoot balls to destroy them. But as things are right now, so it feels like the bullet is passing right through. Therefore, when the bullet hits the enemy, I want to make sure that this bullet also disappears. Now, let's open up the bullet script. It's pretty much the same as with the enemy. Let's go to the void update and make some changes. In an empty space, let's add on collision enter and then destroy. Here, it's the game object. When it collides, it disappears. Alright, let's give it a quick test. Okay, now the bullet disappears as well. Right here. Alright, so from here, let's try adding a few more enemies and making it so the player can move a bit, to make it feel a little more like a real game. That's what I'd like to try next. I'll start by making it so the player can move. Let me bring up the player's script. So, I went ahead and deleted the comments we were using up until last time. Now, right here, when you press the space key, it fires a bullet. I'll go ahead and write it out like this. If input dot get key down key code dot right arrow, this means when the right arrow key is pressed. Then transform dot position equals transform dot position plus vector 3 dot right. So you write it like this. Now let me explain what this does. I'll write it down here. Okay, right here, this means when the right arrow key is pressed. Yes, input dot get key down, right? So, when this key input is detected, and that key is key code dot right arrow, when the right arrow key is pressed, this part here, transform dot position, refers to the current position of the player. The current position of the player. From the current position, move one step to the right. It's like adding to the position. This vector 3 dot right means the right direction. So, transform dot position refers to the current position. So, since transform dot position is the player's position, we're going to change it like this. What we're doing is adding the current position plus one step to the right. That's the idea. And in the same way, I'll copy this, and for the left arrow, I'll rewrite it using vector 3 dot left. So, this part of the program means that when the left arrow key is pressed, it adds one step to the left from the current position. Alright, let's save it and take a look. Alright. So, when I press the right arrow key, the cube, which is our player, moves like this. And when I press the left arrow key, it moves to the left. Now that we can move the player like this, we can shoot the ball in different directions. Now that we can move the player, let's try increasing the number of enemies next. This enemy here, let's make it a prefab first. I want to copy it, so I'll turn it into a prefab. Then, let's keep adding more prefabs like this by dragging and dropping them in. Well, with this amount, honestly, you could probably just use copy and paste instead of going out of your way to use prefabs. So, it looks something like this. Yeah. I made it a prefab and added a bunch of them. Then, when I hit play, you can see it like this. Now, it feels like you can destroy the enemies. It's starting to look a bit like an invader game. Yes, just like this. With what we've learned so far, you can create a simple game like this. Alright, everyone, great job. How did it go? This time, we finally managed to create a program that really feels like a game. I think you all did an amazing job. So, as an assignment, please try making a simple program on your own using what we've learned so far. Of course, it's important to study by watching my videos, but it's also really important for you to actually try making something yourself. The more you create on your own, the better you'll get. So, even if it's something simple, please feel free to make something. Once you've done that, we'll move on to the next lesson. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.